Saran, and today's conversation should be a really, really interesting one. I do hope that everybody will participate because the fact of the matter is, when we talk about emotional detoxing, I think everybody has something to offer, something to share where that is concerned, because it's not like there's any one guru with all the answers, and there's no room for entertainment from anybody else. And so I want to say greetings to everybody watching on Zoom. Hi, Amelia. Thanks for just joining in. Um, Thank you for those who are joining on Facebook. Hi, Saran. How are you? We're going to do the double trouble soon. Peace and blessings, Queen. So, today's conversation, like I said, is emotional detoxification. And so, where do we begin where that is concerned? I think when we think about detoxing, too often we equate detoxing with sitting on the toilet, getting the runs, and that's about it. You clean your colon out, and that's detox, the long and short of it all for most of us. However, when we recognize and we do entertain the fact that we're not just physical bodies, there's more to us than just the avatar that we walk around with every day. There's so much more to us. When we entertain that, we have to recognize that, there's more to us, and there are other bodies that we also need to detox. And so that's what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be looking at emotional detoxing and the importance of it. Um, when we think about detoxing, as the name suggests, it's the release or removal of toxins from the body. And so emotional, we kind of understand what that means. It's your feelings, your thoughts, all of that play a role in emotions. And so emotional detoxing, why is it necessary? Now, I don't know about everybody else, but I can assure you that if you eat right, if you use powerful herbs, if you exercise, if you do all of those things and you just focus on your physical body, but yet you may be suffering from depression, or you may have gone through an emotional breakup, with a family member or a loved one or an intimate partner. Even though you're doing those things, eating right, doing everything that you should physically, that in that space you still don't feel good. And so we can recognize the impact that our emotions play on how we feel and how we go about every day. And so I think it's a timely conversation because too often we tend to push things in the back. And the reality is, we are still traumatized people because of our past. And it continues generation after generation. When we look at the fact that for 500 years, our ancestors went through what they did, and coming out of it, there was never any psychological therapy. There was never any form of therapy for that matter. It was just, okay, business as usual, and life goes on. And so there was never an opportunity for them to heal from those issues. And as a result of that, we still feel the consequence of it today. And so I think it's very timely, given the fact that we have just come out of 2.5 years of an unusual experience. And for the most part, it was very trying. And, you know, um, shifting who we are naturally, being locked in the house, being isolated from people that we love and care for, not being able to socialize as we naturally would, not being able to participate in the different activities like life, and for that reason, there was an emotional blow. And I think that's just, you know, we just think, okay, this is what we did, but there's no conversation about therapy or about healing from that traumatic situation. Because whether or not we want to admit it, once you're forced to isolate, it's traumatic. Um, Peace and blessings, Sylvia. True experience or not. Yeah, it's something that we have not really addressed. Yes, over the past 2 years, there's been more push about self care and self love and that type of thing and mental health. However, when we think about getting rid of the toxins that would have been built up in our bodies over the last 2 years plus, there's not a lot of conversation on that. And I think it's timely for that reason because, I mean, when you look at how people transformed during the last 2 years, sometimes you see people and you're wondering, is that them or is it a sister? Because for some persons, they would have gained anything from 40 to 80 pounds easy during the pandemic. And it's a telltale sign. And the truth is, that issue, especially when you don't want the weight, it continues. And so you're just left to kind of, navigate life on your own and trying to figure it out because there's not a conversation about truly releasing certain emotional issues. And the emotional issues, of course, naturally during the last 2 years, fear. Fear is huge. And when we understand that our emotions also target or trigger certain reactions in certain organ systems in the body, you can realize that, hey, we're it's needed, it's necessary. What I do, I offer plant power detox. For most of you, I think almost everybody is familiar with the program that I offer. And I spent time and attention putting together the program because, again, it's a holistic approach to detoxing. So you can do all you can with the physical avatar, but what you think, how you navigate life, how you perceive things, it still has a huge impact on whether or not you get up in the day and feel well and you're able to function well and you're able to foster healthy relationships with those around you. And so I just want to spend a little time on emotional detoxing. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there is a correlation between certain emotions that we have, negative emotions, that is, and how it impacts certain organ system in the body. And so I think I'll get into that a little later in terms of fear, what organ system it targets, and that type of thing. But I would just like to mention also when we look at, okay, we've just kind of gotten out of the last 2.5 years and things are seemingly becoming normal again. And what is coming in with it is inflation. And so it's from one stressor to the next. I've heard persons saying, oh gosh, I don't know what we're going to eat soon. And, that kind of conversation, that worry, that fear, that anxiety of not being able to cater for yourself because prices are going through the roof. And so when we look, we're going through one session of fear and we're seemingly coming out and then we're moving right into another fear of high prices. I just want to remind us, I started the conversation mentioning about the way in which slavery still affects us. And let us just think for a minute about who we come from. I think that's very, very important for us to remember. Slavery, and particularly slavery in the Caribbean, was so brutal and so deadly that the weak never survived. So the fact that you're here is testimony to the fact that you come from powerful, powerful stock. Be you not deceived that high prices or inflation is something that we cannot maneuver in this life. And so when I hear to talk about, what we're going to do, what we're going to do, and that type of thing, we're going to survive. That's what we're going to do. And I'm hoping and praying that it will bring in an opportunity for us to revert to some of the practices that we had in the past that were beneficial, that could actually be helpful tools as we move forward, buying local, supporting local, going back to bartering certain services. Those are things that I'm hoping that we're going to embrace as we move forward. But the reality is, when you know who you come from, high prices should not be a cause for concern. At least it should not be a cause for worry. Yes, you can be concerned about it, but recognize it for what it is, but put it in a box somewhere, because it's not too big for us to get through. At least that's my personal opinion. I always tend to see a bright light at the end of the tunnel for everything. And so, yeah, this will be nothing short. Inflation has come and it has happened before. Economic downturns, we have lived through hurricanes, volcanoes, all sorts of natural events, and yet we're still here. So it's important for us to not become so consumed by it. I know when we turn on the TV, for those of us who participate in watching news and things like that, it can become troubling. You know, when you're just feeding yourself that fear. Oh, look at the price for this, look at the price for that, and it's going to get worse. The prices are going to go higher. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Are we going to give up, or are we going to allow fear and anxiety and worry to take hold of us? We don't just want to survive, we want to thrive. Absolutely. I hear you, Priscilla. I hear you. And that's very important for us to remember. Surviving is, basic, basic. But what we really want to do, we want to thrive in this existence, because it is in our DNA to thrive, you know. So let's talk about some of the tools that we can use to assist with detoxing emotionally. So when we think about it, I think we've drifted so far from nature, to be honest, that that's one of the reasons that we get so wrapped up in the happenings of now. But when you go to the core of who you are and why you're here and that type of thing, you'd recognize that we complicate life. You know, we really, really add all sort of complexities and all sorts of different unnecessary ingredients to our life. And at the core of everything, we're natural beings. And we also, yeah, I see you, Priscilla. Um, Peace and blessings and welcome to the call. Um, it's important for us to know that going back to nature is always going to be helpful. It's always going to be helpful. And so when we think about going back to nature, I'm not just talking, oh, everybody should be in the hills, rah, 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 and that type of thing. What I'm talking about is a reality that we can present ourselves where nature is actively a part of what we do. Because I truly believe physically and emotionally it brings a sense of balance. So one of the things that I want to start with is the importance of earthing or grounding. It's something that's often, when I think back to the very first separation, when you look at human beings and our very first separation between nature as a baby, there would essentially be shoes. You know, that border between us and the earth, us and the grass, us and the sand. It's initially shoes. And so I want to encourage us. Now, I know this might be far-fetched for some, but do your own research. That's all I'll say on that one. In terms of the physical benefits that you can actually receive from doing earthing. Earthing simply means, I know that's a nice term now, earthing and grounding and all that. You walk around barefoot. At least plant your foot on the earth. And now let me caution that by saying we're talking about natural elements. So we're talking about the grass, we're talking about earth, we're talking about stones, pebbles, any natural environment, sand and things of that nature. Not necessarily walking on asphalt, not walking on concrete and that type of thing. I'm talking about grounding yourself, allowing that electromagnetic frequency to flow through your body. Greetings, Virga. Greetings, greetings. Good to see you. Um, so yeah, so we're talking about grounding yourself, giving yourself an opportunity to just be. I think too much we're caught up doing stuff. And when I talk, I know I'm also talking to myself because, every day isn't the same. Every day isn't Zen. Everything, falls into order and all perfectly aligned every day. Some days I am guilty of just trying to do too much, doing too much, simplifying our lives. And that's the element that I talk about when I say returning to nature. Nature isn't about hustling. It really isn't. And as natural people, we should be operating or at least aiming to operate in ease and flow. And so, earthing is one of those things that I'm huge about. You can feel the difference. For women on your cycle, go walk, or go plant your feet on the ground on your cycle, or do something in the yard where you're given an opportunity to walk around barefoot. And you will feel and see the difference in your cycle. And so it's not a pretend thing. And for me, going back to nature allows you to eliminate all the other noise, all the unanswered emails, the million and one WhatsApp messages that you have to, all the different things that we get caught up in. It allows you to balance yourself out, balance your thoughts out. And that's very vital. So, we're looking at earthing. Now, resting. When I talk about resting, um, peace queen, how are you, sis? Sweetness. um, when I talk about rest, now it's important for us to listen to our bodies. Yes, it's recommended for some person by, we've heard, oh, you need to get 8 hours sleep and things like that. You need to listen to your body. Perhaps you don't need 8 hours, perhaps you need more than eight. It's important to pay attention to, the way in which your body functions. I think that's a telltale sign as to whether or not you've gotten enough rest. Now, that's rest in terms of sleep, right? However, I think it's important for us to pay attention to the fact that there is a difference between sleeping and resting. Let me break that down just a little bit to ensure once your mind is rested, then you function better. Does that mean that if you sleep 8 hours that you're going to function better? Not necessarily. And I'll give you an example. If you go to sleep with your stomach packed, literally all the energy that you are gonna need to break that food down. You're literally working as you sleep. So you'll notice that you go to sleep with a full stomach and you're gonna wake up feeling more tired because you have been working nonstop. Remember, the majority of your energy in the day is spent doing what? Digesting food. So if you're digesting all night long, you will wake in the morning and feel like, oh gosh, I slept 9 hours and I still feel sleepy. I still feel tired. So pay attention to those type of things. Resting now, resting is not what we do when we're sleeping in a room and the TV is on, the iPad next to you going, you have the laptop over there. There are too many stimulations. Yes, you might be physically sleeping, but your mind still pays attention to all the different signals taking place around you. So it's important for us to shut the world out. Literally take some time for yourself. If you're going to sleep, sleep. And wind yourself down. I call it like a sleeping ritual, something that you do every night. Whether it is, well, I highly recommend that you shower every night, especially if you're in a stressful, peace and blessings, I sir. Especially if you're working in a stressful environment, you certainly don't want to take that stress and that stressful energy in your bed. I'm one of those persons who think that energy is energy. It's not something that we can dismiss. It's not something that we could just push away. It literally enters the space with you. And so if you have that on your skin and you had a stressful day, um, it's not a stretch of the imagination to think that you're going to toss and turn all night. So pay attention to that create a sleeping ritual for yourself, a ritual that you're going to do every night. You can utilize your essential oils, your lavender, your frankincense, your chamomile. Get into the routine of using your herbs to help you rest. Um, Soursop leaves for those in Antigua, go and pick the soursop leaves. Yes, I offer things, but the truth is, it is at our access. You don't even have to buy it, especially if you're living here. All of us know a neighbor with a soursop tree, or at least we should be able to recognize the plant, the tree enough that we can say, hey, miss, can I get some leaves? And you go home and create create a routine around what you do. And so you'll see showering huge, washing the day off of you because you don't want to take that in bed with you. You really peace and blessings, Queen. Just like a routine at rising. I'm with you when you're right, sis. Absolutely. It's important because it we are creatures of habit. Peace and blessings, Shy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to the call. Um, we are creatures of habit, just like how we have bad habits. We love our breads, we love this, and we gravitate to certain things that, you know, become second nature. It's important for us when we're thinking about correcting certain things, releasing certain emotions from our bodies. You having an argument with three co-workers today, that should not be going in the bed with you. So what are you doing to release that energy? What are you doing? It may not be something critical enough that it's imposing on your rest and that type of thing, but the agitation, we have to purge that emotion off of us. And again, we do so by creating certain habits, certain rituals. We're diligently committing to doing a specific thing in a particular order every night before we go to bed. Because the truth is, you can sleep 10 hours and wake up tired. So you do certain things. You make sure you're going to sleep with an empty stomach. Okay? That's crucial because physically, next morning you're going to feel tired. And if you feel tired, you're quicker to be agitated by simple things. Somebody cut you off on the road and you're ready for them because you're not rested, you're already tired. So, anyway, going back to the resting, again, resting means you're putting everything away, putting everything away. This thing that we have going on now where you're sleeping in lights and all that type of thing. We are sensitive people. We're sensitive. And if you're sleeping and the lights are on and your TV over there but on mute and that type of thing, we know, we're very much aware. And you truly don't get to rest unless you're able to isolate yourself from all of that. Cut it out, so that we can actually sleep and enjoy just your thoughts. Nothing stimulating you but you. Getting back to that is very important. Resting again, using your herbs, chamomile, your lavenders. For those who like peppermint, peppermint is calming to the internal system. For those who are on peppermint, get a practice together. Use your essential oil. So you may have a particular scent that you spray on your pillows or on your curtains, your sheets, and that type of thing. And so automatically, once we smell that scent, we're going to know. We know what time it is. It's resting time. And what it is that you're checking in with your loved ones, make sure it's short. Don't get stimulated as you're preparing to wind down. Okay, so that's resting. I see a lot of people on Zoom. Peace and blessings, everybody. The other one I want to talk about is sunlight. And I want to spend a little time on sunlight because I think as Black people, that's the majority of my following. So everything I do is directed towards us. Okay, others may benefit, but my attention is on us. Us in the Caribbean suffering from vitamin D deficiency. It's unreal. It's unreal, but it's so, so common. And we don't have the comfort of saying, oh, we had winter and the sun wasn't out and that type of thing. We are always in summer mode here. And yet we do so little. Oh gosh, sun hot, mercy. And we're literally parking here, running into whatever building, and we're doing that type of thing, not realizing that we're sun people, we're from it. The melanin in the skin is for a reason. And so even when we look at studies that suggest, okay, you should get X amount of time in the sun, who were the authors? Were they also black? You know, it's important for us to pay attention to that, because if they were not, they're going to suggest something less than what you should get, because we were made for the sun. If you can't do this, I know summer, I mean, for those of us in Antigua, we feel what's going on in St. John. We feel when we're going into the city, that's another beast out there. It's hot. But if you can't do, things like that in the sun, get up early, get some sunlight on your skin as it rises. Can you do a sunset? We all can. It's tolerable, but we need to recognize the importance of taking time for ourselves. And if you're taking time to get sun deliberately, you're going to be taking time for you, because it's no longer a part of what we do naturally. It's not like we're a lot of us, we don't do anything outside anymore. All of our jobs are confined to beautiful AC offices and things like that, and that's it. I love to feel the warm sun in the morning. I feel energized. Yes, yes. And the thing about it, when you're able to stimulate your skin with the sun, you are also, again, going back to what I said earlier, you're getting connected to nature. And once you stay in connection with nature, it makes the stresses fall away. I know for some of the person on the call, go on a hike. Go on a hike, and when you go to the top of, let's say, Macnish Mount or whatever, why did I call the harder one? But when you go to the top of the hill, there is something that happens when you're just removed from everything that's, yes, nowadays we all have the selfie stick and that type of thing. But outside of that, it's almost like you leave your electricity bills somewhere else, you leave your water bill, you leave the high prices. There's something that switches in your body as you experience a complete indulgence in nature. It kind of put things in perspective. It puts things in perspective. And so paying attention to how you feel in nature allows you to realize, look, this argument that I had the other day with my sister, it didn't make no sense. And it allows you to also think about your actions. It's important for us to do that. Yes, it's all well and good for us to identify, oh, that's toxic behavior over there, and this person act toxic. And another thing that we do now, everybody's a narcissist. I don't know where we get off with that, but every time you peruse social media, or such and such is a narcissist, and that is a narcissist. Um, I feel like we're telepathic. Sorry, but best believe. You're always in my head, same thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. Yeah, it's when you isolate yourself from certain things and you leave the burdens that we have in the forefront of our minds, and you literally surrender yourself to nature, you feel different. You feel different, if for no long extended period of time, for the moment that you're in nature, it puts things in perspective. And that's really what we need. It helps with how we look at life. It helps. You can't pay your bills and you can't pay whatever. Guess what? Money not going to help you to climb Buggy Peak. You understand? It's your physical body. It's all you have. And so it's important. Get in nature. And oftentimes what you will notice, yes, you're stressed. And this is what a lot of us do. We are stressed out. And anyhow, let me give a story. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and the person was remarking, I don't know why them people work hard, and every Friday, all they do, they get their paycheck, and then they're on the road drinking alcohol. You know how Market Street is if you live in Antigua. You know, Lower Market Street is a riot when you drive there Friday afternoon. But I said to the person, as bad as it is, right? As bad as it is, because we all know toxic behavior with the drinking and the drunkenness and stuff, it's helpful to nobody. But the initiation of the act of, let me do some level of repair today. Oops. Sorry, people. I forgot to turn that on silent. Here we go. Peace, Queen. How are you? Is that Faith? Peace and blessings, sis. So do apologize. I was saying, as much as it's a bad habit, it's important. Now, the truth is, we're critical of them, but what do we do? We tell ourselves, okay, I've had a stressful week, and that week is multiplied. Next week, you're stressed out again. And so we tell ourselves, you know what? I'm gonna go for a day pass at the hotel to unwind. And we realize that you don't have the money this week, you don't have it next week. So we continue to build up that stressful momentum. We continue to build up, and we're waiting for an opportunity when money presents itself to go and unwind. That is sickness. That is sickness, because the truth is there's so many simple acts that we could do to release those emotions that we fail to do because we're saving up to do something grand. You don't have money to get a full body massage, but you're telling yourself, oh, I feel so stressed. All I'm going to do is wait and then go by such and such to get a massage. All those things are great. But the persons who are deciding, I had a stressful week and Friday I'm unwinding, we could learn something from that. Unwinding doesn't mean that you have to poison yourself with alcohol. That's not what it means. But are you able to take time for yourself? Can you go on a hike? Can you take a drive to the beach? Can you just go sit in a park somewhere? Can you just isolate? Can you just, there's so many things that we can do. Let's see, any suggestion on how to start spiritual cleanse? I'm new to this. Oh, Rhea. um, Here's what I would recommend. And I think at the core of everything that I do, anytime I talk about doing anything significant where a shift is necessitated, it's important for us to learn who you are. And that's overemphasized, who are you and that type of thing. But a lot of us don't take the time to do it. When you ask somebody, well, who are you? For me, I could say, oh, I'm a herbalist and I run the Wellness Queens and I make natural products. The reality is that is not who I am. That is not who I am. That's what I do. And so if you're looking for spiritual cleansing or anything like that, first step, get to know yourself. Getting to know yourself will allow you to see how unique you are, and it gives you a blueprint almost into navigating life. There's a lot that let me see, addiction is a complex disease and it has nothing to do with willpower. Absolutely, it's the addiction controlling them, not the other way around. Yes, unwinding is free in nature. That's a very good point, Nadine. Very, very good. Facts. Peace and blessings, Queen. Hi, Rennie. Escape mechanism such as smoking, alcohol is toxic. They can lead to addiction in the core. Okay. Yes. So going back to urea, yeah, get to know yourself. Get to know there's something unique about you. Now, if, like I said before, I could say I'm a herbalist and I make natural products. The truth is, you can come across thousands of women who would also describe themselves as I'm a herbalist. I make natural products. So why am I unique? Who I am cannot be something that's identified by any other person on earth. So paying attention to who you are. I know it sounds simple, but believe you me, that's an intensive operation to undergo, getting to know you, getting to know who you are. And also, once I say, okay, getting to know you and who you are, it's important for us to pay attention that we all have, in my opinion at least, divine purposes to fulfill. Like, okay, why am I here? Why was I placed here? And there's an appreciation for the fact that we would have gone through what we went through in the last 2 years. Why didn't we come earlier? Why are we here now as opposed to being born in 2034? There's a reason why you're here, and all of us, in my opinion, has a purpose to fulfill. Whether it be that you're here for a short amount of time or long, long, lengthy days, it doesn't matter. Bob Marley was here for 34 years, 35 years, something to that nature. We know who Bob Marley is. And certainly we can tick that off as somebody who completed the assignment. And so recognizing your purpose is also a critical role in what we do. And I think it improves your life. Because when you're moving on your purpose, you flex different. You flex different and you don't get caught up in the stresses that tend to just pull you in. Like, I mean, I know I'm walking in my purpose. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get anything that stresses you, but how you work through it is different. It's not, you no longer see, you don't see darkness at the end of the tunnel because you're doing what you're supposed to do. And once you're doing what you're supposed to, it's not a dead end. You know what I mean? It's not a dead end. And we can literally get good. Oh, peace and blessings. Ashe. Thank you, Renee. Yeah, so the purpose is very important. And I think when we think about emotionally detoxing too, those are things that are very, very useful. Another thing that I want to, now I was on the sunlight. Uh, but I lived a number of years in America, right? In Indiana, to be specific. Don't ask why. But anyhow, I remember leaving from where did I go? I went to Long Bay. I went to Long Bay, came home, showered, got dressed, and went to the airport. And I landed in Indiana, January, and I landed in 11 degrees weather. And I seriously stayed in my house, in my bed, with my bags unpacked for probably 2 weeks. Bags unpacked. I went, and the only thing I did, I took out, whatever perishables that I snuck into. Anyhow, I took those out, but my bag stayed there. Why? Because, I mean, there are situations where there's like no sun. No sun, no sunlight, nothing in sun. It's like, it's almost like, is it morning? You can't really tell. And so for those of us who have access to sunlight, we do ourselves a disservice by not really basking in it. Your skin love it. Use, for those who are into protecting your skin with this and that, be mindful of what you're putting on your skin when you go in the sun. Don't fall for the gimmicks. That's all I'm gonna say on that. I think I need to have a conversation in and of itself on those skin protector, the sun protecting things that we put on and all that kind of thing. We have to be mindful of our blackness, of our melanin and its function in the body. And so anyway, I won't go any further on that one, but it's important for us to get sunlight. It allows you to think. It sets your circadian rhythm, puts you back into, and that's one of the things that I know I've experienced living in the States. Because when you go up there, The reason why I wasn't, yes, wow, 2 weeks. And 2 weeks, my bag stayed in the living room, 2 suitcases, never unpacked anything. Because what? I'm there and it's like, you don't know if it's daytime, nighttime, or whatever. It's just groggy. The whole day just looks groggy, just gray and just out of it. So your rhythm becomes mixed up. And for those who are closer to the equator, it is a blessing. It is a blessing. So for us to be touting that, oh, vitamin D deficient, it's a slap in the face of nature. It really is. It's a slap in the face for everybody who came before us to put us here. Vitamin D deficient and sunlight out there every day. Guaranteed. Sun still up. You know what I mean? Please pay attention to the little simple things that we do. This rushing to the car, rushing into the supermarket, and then you spend your entire day in the office. You barely go out for lunch. We're not getting enough sunlight. Anyhow, um, going back to what I said, it sets your rhythm. It sets your body in a natural flow. And so that helps you easily rest at night. And that helps with your emotions again. Everything is all interconnected. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is, well, I kind of spoke about it, submersing yourself in nature. Whatever it is, I know for some persons, I'm starting a detox tomorrow. And some people say, oh, I'm not going on no hike, afraid the hills and this and that and all that kind of stuff. Some people don't enjoy hiking. But guess what? It's important for you. You don't enjoy hiking. That's not the only place nature is. Nature is in botanical gardens. Nature is everywhere. Choose something that resonates with you. Do you enjoy going to the beach? Do you want to just sit in the park? For some persons, it might be enough to go under a fruit tree in your yard and that's it. But submerge yourself. Give yourself some time to reconnect to source. You know, so many persons suffer from seasonal depression during the cold months. Hey, look, doc, believe you me, that is exactly what I went through time and time again. I love the rain. It comes. You see, whatever it is, for each of us, it's different. But find what resonates with you and really just put that as a part of the thing you do. You know what I mean? The depression up there when you're not really seeing sun and your body out of focus, so you're up 2 a.m. and 3 o'clock, you're still not sleeping. And, peace and blessings, Renosha. Blessings, blessings, sis. Um, so whatever it is, it differs for all of us. It's not a one size fits all. Make it work for you. Make your environment work for you. Yes, I reference a lot to the beaches and things like that. I'm based in Antigua, so my frame of reference is Antigua. But whatever it is it a lake? Is it a river? Whatever you have access to that resonates with your inner being is what you should, really just pull it as a part of the tool that you use to shake stresses off. Okay, another thing I want to touch on is the importance of building a tribe. Okay, too many times let me just say from the back, we have embraced the culture of being independent, of being strong, of being resilient, of being that type of person where vulnerability is frowned upon and that type of thing. Trust me when I tell you that self-sabotage. That is what that is. If you think that you can go about life not needing anyone, not wanting or desiring the comfort of a community or socializing and things like that. How wrong we are when we embrace that notion. So it's important for us to build a tribe. Now, I know once you start thinking about building a tribe and you're pulling different personalities in, you're pulling different energies, you're pulling, all the backstabber ones and stuff because we can't choose people. because we don't know ourselves and we don't know our purpose. So we end up, you know, embracing people who, I can't believe there's a knock at my door. Um, one moment, please. I cannot believe this. This is unprecedented. Hold on. Okay, my apologies. Look at that. Hi, Karen. Peace, peace. Um, how do we work through this with our family and close friends group? Because we change, there's a conflict. No, I want to. I'm happy that you wrote that, Rhea. I can't believe that just happened. But anyhow, building your tribe. That's exactly what. That's the reason why we need a tribe, Rhea, because you change, and then there's a conflict. As long as we're now, we must all remember the first order of business, the first law for us as natural people is self survival. And as selfish as that might sound to others, self survival is number one. Okay, so yes, you might offend. Yes, people don't like the change. Yes, this and yes, that, and all sorts of discomfort and this, that. But surviving this is why we're here. And the truth is, once we're able to master that, then we have more to give. We have more to pour into the same people who have a conflict with what we do or whatever change that we're making. The truth is, yes, we have to be delicate. We can't just go about and, you just bonfire on people left, right, and center. That's not what I'm suggesting, but I'm suggesting that we shape our lives in a way that works for us. And I am so guilty of this, setting boundaries, because, you know, I love people. I love people and I give freely of my time to people. And so some persons will just, and sometimes I find myself, well, wait, I'm depleted for what reason? And then you reflect on your day and you realize you didn't set any boundaries, or if you did set boundaries, you push them for you move the line. And so people were able to go further than not than normal. Um, you're speaking to me today. That tribe building. Yes, Nadine, you understand the importance of building the tribe because we cannot do it alone. And guess what? We were not made to do it alone. We weren't. If you think about your life and why you were put here. Now think about the concept behind procreation and you coming here in this time. You came through vessels. You have 23 chromosomes from one, 23 from another one. And you're here. And you're supposed to somehow master navigating life alone. And when I say alone, going through your trials and your tribulations alone. You're just supposed to have that on the inside. And nobody has, when you think about school, how many persons out there telling a 6-year-old to find out who they are? We don't have these conversations. We don't. Finding out your true purpose. We're raised to, what are you good at? I'm good at a whole bunch of things. I make jewelry. I'm a bomb earring designer. Bomb. But I know for sure that is my artistic expression in the world. Purpose, That's not it. It's a huge part because it's an outlet for me to be creative. And as a woman, we were all sent here to create. Whether it is that you're creating other little human beings, but we're all sent with a divine assignment to create. And so I'm good at that, but that is not my purpose. That is not my purpose. I'll tell anybody that. And I know that because I know what my purpose is. This is part of it. And so that tribe, who do you call when you're stressed? Who? You just keep it inside and then you go to the job the next day and you feel like you want to kill people because you have no outlet to vent, you have no, that type of thing. And so the tribe building is key. You can't trust everybody. You can't trust everybody. And the truth is, this is what I've learned, right? Everything that we need, and I know this is a little far-fetched for some person to really accept, but everything that we need is either within us or within our access. That is what I believe. Within us or within our access. Now, when I say within your access, it's somewhere in your circle. Peace and blessings, Misty. Peace, peace, peace. Good to see you. Yeah, so it's important for us to dial in, really attune yourself to you. Like I say all the time, you either program yourself or somebody can program you for you. Either way, you're getting programmed. So releasing stress is vital. There are the physical things that you can go and pay and have done and stuff, and they're super, super valuable. You're nothing better than getting a good massage. You're going, peace, peace, Charlene, how are you? It's so important for us to do certain things, but that tribe, who do you call when you're stressed out? When your relationship falling to the wayside, do you have a friend? Do you have somebody who can actually put things in perspective for you? If you don't, it is your assignment. Build that tribe. If you're a mother, if you're stressed out and you can't take being around your children anymore, who do you call? You can't call any and everybody and tell them, oh, you don't like your children. You understand? It's important for us to have a tribe for releasing certain things out of us. Who do you call? And I just want to say, for those of us in Antigua, Misty, that's the Mr. Ellis right there. She hosts a full moon meditation. If that's your speed, do follow, pay attention to her page for more information for those of us here. Super, super calming and all that kind of good stuff. So the tribe building, who do you talk to about your love life? Can't be everybody. My reality has always been I have, and this sounds bad, but it is true. I have compartmentalized friends. You don't share everything with everybody because sometimes you're not in a situation where you know everybody can actually relate to your situation, and you do want a relatability so that advice can be beneficial and things like that. And so if there's an issue with such and such, I know who to call. But my recommendation for you is for your intimate partners, they should be somebody who you can really vent any and everything to. And if they're not, you may want to re-examine, the structure or the way in which your relationship works, because we do need an outlet. We do need an outlet. And another thing, when we think about relationships and those falling apart, too often we always do that. Don't call friends who go and say, oh, he this and oh, he that and he this and you do nothing wrong. There's nothing really helpful about that. Choose people in your tribe who are going to call you out of your nonsense, pull you to a higher level. They're not going down there with you and just saying, clapping you while you're in decadence down there. That's not what we want. We want people to lift us up, whether or not it's in opposition to how you feel, how you're moving, and things like that. We need that. Elevation is key. Too often we have friends that they're down in decadence, everything about them toxic. So when you relate certain stresses to them, they're gonna give you advice based on where they are. Don't they want to stay and then oh you should go and do this and you should do that and all kind of crazy advice. Lick out your car window. Things like that because that's where they are. But if your intent is to elevate out of that, then build your tribe. Sometimes it may be that you need to lick out the cow when they're laughing real true facts. That's what we do. That's what we do. We often encourage our friends in bad behavior because that's how we behave. So it's not like it's malicious. It's not like we're setting each other up. But that's how when I get in an argument and box down people. So that's the advice I'm gonna give. Toxic advice. You're right, Natasha. Toxic advice. So it may be that, you're having issues in your relationship and all that. And you may need to reach out to somebody that you're not close with who's going to listen and be objective because they don't know the man, they don't know you, they don't have a dog in the fight. And so they can tell you straight up, but what did you do? Well, say you walk up to him and you push him first and they can call you out on it. But quit finding comfort with people who are going to cheer you on and you don't see an improvement in anything. I do want to, let me see if there are any questions on Zoom. Galaxy, peace and blessings. Thank you. Okay. Keisha, did you want to share? I'm sorry. Let me put that on. Keisha, if you do, you can. Peace.
I'm here. Peace, Queen.
Peace. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I came in the chat a bit late, about 6:25, but I heard a lot of information so far, and there's so many topics that are so significant. Mm-hmm. I don't know where to start from. Where can I start from? I don't want to take it too far back.
Anywhere you want.
Okay. Well, you see, in reference to our journey, right, I can only talk about my personal experience because we're talking about there sometimes licking out that windshield and so. I've been there and done that. But at the time, nobody had to tell me to go lick out my windshield. Mm-hmm. The situation that happened, me felt in a rage and me try to bust one buckle and bust the tire and them, and it didn't work, and I scratched up the vehicle. And I'm not ashamed to talk about that. And I've had other situations like that in my past, fueled by emotion, right? And after a while, life has a way of bringing you to a place where you have to look within yourself and consider your ways if you want better for yourself.
True. Yeah.
You have to want better for yourself, and not only that, you have to be willing to be completely honest with yourself.
True.
Even if you decide you want to lie to Tom, Dick, and Harry. You see, if you're lying to yourself, as I said, Saran, that's self-sabotage, and you won't reach nowhere, you'll just remain stuck. So we have to really open our minds to accepting the truth about ourselves. And over the years, I have had different criticism from my family members, from people, from co-workers, from management and business owners, right? And I had to stop and look within myself and say, okay, what am I saying? Okay, that is kind of true now. And guess what? I started to work on me.
Yeah.
Right? I started to work on me. And also, so finding your purpose, right? it's not, well, it happened for different people. For me, it's not epiphany. It just gonna happen one time and boom, you go through life, twist you and turn you and reveal things to you as you overcome certain things. Then your way becomes clearer. As you release and let go of all these distractions and baggage and trauma and hurt and pain, all these things distract you from what your purpose in life is. It just sets you back further from achieving that. It will make it take longer. You understand?
Yes.
So, for me personally, it helps to be in alignment with God. Wherever I don't know if everybody believes in God, but alignment with source, with the universe, with the creator. You understand? And that is what has helped me a lot along the way too, because then when you do that, you open your heart to spirit, you acknowledge spirit, and you recognize that we don't just live in a physical, everything is not physical. There's spiritual things, as you said, the emotional aspect and all these different things. Sometimes you have a contention with somebody, and it's not really the flesh and blood, it's the spirit within that person. Maybe they're carrying through that trauma, through that anger, whatever it is. And when you start to operate from a clear frame of mind where you are not driven by emotions anymore, but by wisdom, right? Then you know not to even get angry, you know not to even react. You can actually know what happen now. Because on my journey, I've had some situation where some parents and even a woman who's a teacher I want to confront me in front of my son's school. In front of this other parent, I discipline her son, telling him, don't do that, you'll hurt yourself. And the child give me back chat, and when I catch you by yourself, let me tell you something, I could be a mother. You do not disrespect me, you could hurt yourself. And I'm looking out for your own best interest. Next time, I'm going to put my hand in your bottom, and you can tell your mom and daddy, it's okay, I don't care. And the mother come to me, oh, what you want to say in that? And I had to literally, I saw myself having a conversation in my head. And I was like, okay, this girl, like, up in my face. I should really box her down now. But then the other voice, the Keisha, on your birthday, you just don't wash your kin, you locks them well, do. Where you getting the argument? No, where you getting the fight with this girl, you fat? And it was, I said to myself, okay, I've come away because at least I could stop for a moment and have that conversation within myself to make a better decision. And we have to, every situation in life that happens, we have to be able to take a moment and think about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what will the benefit be. And we have to start to make different types of decisions, which will now set us in a different path and open up our heart to better understanding, to more love, because God give us freedom. We all have freedom of choice. But to me, that freedom, put on my video, that freedom to me has to be guided by unconditional love, right?
Absolutely.
And for me, being in a community where, because my spiritual awareness happened over a period of time, and connecting with people like Mr. Roberts helped me to open my eyes a lot about God, being in the moment, being in the present. So not allowing, not to be frazzled. Okay, something's supposed to happen a certain way in a workout, so, and then you're going to get all frazzled. Oh, Lord, what am I going to do now? This is how it's supposed to be, but then realizing, no, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Divine timing, divine purpose, maybe in a workout to protect you from something that could go bad. So we have to really stop for a moment and just, be. And don't fret. Know that there's always a reason, for things to happen. And then, for me, I love being in nature. I didn't go hiking today because the hike last week, man, I'm still
feel it.
And I have my shoes. I need to get a pair of shoes. But so I didn't make it to the hike today. But being in nature, like every day I'm outside, every day my foot in the sun.
That's good.
And it, as you guys were discussing and a few persons commented, it really just puts you in a frame of mind where you're not really doing anything else but surrounding yourself by the peace and the joy and the beauty of everything that surrounds you, and that it just open your spirit and just whoa.
You don't remember about APR bills then?
Yes, and that is how you find sometimes things come to you. Will you say this?
I said no. I said when you're in that environment, you don't remember APR bills. You don't remember rent. You don't. You're in beauty, and you realize oftentimes you're so small in the bigness of earth, in the beauty of earth.
I'm telling you, and I can tell you because I haven't been working for a while, and money and me not so close at the moment. And I could be stressing and fretting myself. I do have my financial obligation and bank and all that something to deal with. But I have to just do the best we can. I'm not going to worry about it. Worrying about it is not going to help me to solve the problem. But what I can do is press on. What I can do is stop procrastinating and do my beads, catch up with my orders, do what I got to do, and make a little sale here and there. Then I put the money together and try and see if I can pay even $50 on each bill. At least let's see me make one effort. So why am I going to stress? Even if you put on $20 each on the bill and them not, then you say, okay, at least she's trying. Then we see she make one effort. So we really don't have no reason to stress, sister, once we have life. And I give thanks to Mr. Roberts, because Mr. Roberts teach me about these things in the Ubuntu fellowship. Ubuntu is an African concept that means I am because you are. And it fosters that spirit of community. And, that's what I love in those environments. Having, as I said, having that tribe, having the people where you can feel so comfortable to open and speak and share your heart with. And they can give you guidance and say, sister, you really shouldn't know. That is the wrong way of doing this. You should go about it another way. You have some friends that will tell you straight up, girl, you chat shit. You do that. And you have some friends who will put it to you easy. But having that, and I'm very grateful. I'm very, very, very grateful. I know a lot of people, and I have different relationships with different people. And I find when I started to post on my status yesterday or the day before yesterday, and I give thanks to my sisters, because Nadia put up a post and sister, she's so happy to have me as a sister. And I said, sister, I feel the same way. And I put Nadia picture, I put your picture, I put one there, my sisters, Queen. I start when me done and me see all that woman from my status, I say, what? Look at that circle.
Show it. Tribe.
As I said, there's different. One person said to me, she's surprised for such a picture. I said, why? Why? We don't have to be so close. We're not so close to know each other's business, but don't we talk? And isn't our interaction positive and one that we can both be grateful for? So then, not because not everybody you could when you have a so close
tight,
but we can all still have an impact positively.
And just for the record, you're getting shout out on Facebook, right? Misty shouting you out, somebody else at the top here.
Hi, Misty. Misty enjoying a different breeze, girl. Feel it for me and you, girl.
Thank you so much, Keisha. Thank you. I always think that, whenever you speak, and you may not know that in my opinion, it's a part of your purpose. It's something that I think you have a gift for, connecting with people.
I believe so, and I recognize that, because even along my journey, like for me, doing my beads, a lot of things reveal themselves to be a part of the process with creative release, like my writing, when we write 2 songs, or when we do poetry, and I'm like, but then I realized that my purpose is to be an example, to be an example of love within this earth. No, by no means I am perfect. By no means I am not perfect. You understand? And I make a lot of mistakes, but at the end of the day, I'm willing to open my heart 100% because I have nothing for hide. Nothing can make me feel shame.
That's a gift. That's a gift. Believe you me. Let me see. Let me see some of the comments.
And her experiences, and guess what? Me, I'm the first, I'm not be the last. And people who want to pretend like they're so prim and proper, they do worse than me, and you and all put together. So I don't have no reason to be ashamed, sister. And I can share something and help somebody who's going through something similar. So We all have a purpose, and we just have to find it. But the main thing is the love. Is the
Truth.
love. We all have to be respectful, polite, and loving. And we do good deeds, and we act in love, and we work on ourselves and release these things, and God will connect us with people, and we make the best of it. Humble ourselves in reference to don't let your pride or your ego stop you from admitting if you're wrong. True. Or stop you from looking within yourself.
That introspection,
that really needs to be addressed.
Thank you so much, Keisha. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, more love, more love, more love, always. Thank you so much. Thank you for your contribution, Queen. Bye. Kisses too. People, thank you. Hi, Trishan. Peace and blessings. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah. Going back to the tribe. People, I saw Nadia, you wrote at the top, no village raising children anymore. And that's sad. That is sad. And we kind of, you know, everybody has their family in their household, and it's just that. Just you. But as the matriarch or as the single mother in there, sometimes we're in there catching hell. And no outlet to vent. And what happens in situations like that? You take it out on the children. Because you have no support, you have no help, you don't have, like I was saying, you know, it's not like you don't like your children, but sometimes you need a break from your children. Sometimes you just need to be a grown woman, a grown man, and just operate from that place. You know, anyhow, the importance of building your tribe. You know, you must recognize if you know who you are and if you know your purpose, then as a result of that, if you can't pinpoint anybody in your circle who's like that, you need to go and find them. Expose you. Sometimes it may not, again, like I said, it may not be a friend. It may not be a friend that you can, you know, but can you call somebody and say, hi, you know, I know you don't know me or whatever, but can I have 5 minutes of your time? I'm saying, okay, I watch your live every Sunday or whatever, and I would like 5 minutes of your time. That I think most persons are willing to hear you out and offer you the support. Remember what I said, it's either within us or within our access. Access the doors that are closed. Not because it's locked, mean that you can't go in. You need to request what it is that you want. And another thing that I'll encourage us to do, yes, I'm going to touch on journaling because, of course, that's key. But write down what it is that you want. Write down what you want. You know, you want somebody who you can share your relationship issues with. Write it down. What qualities are you looking for in that person? A lot of us, we simply require confidence, good advice. The person being, you know, in an adult stage where, you know, they resonate with the higher level of living. And it's not a diss to persons who operate below. There's judgment, but there's no judgment. You know, but recognize that you need in yourself with somebody who's going to pull you up. Who's going to pull you up? If you're still struggling, and now I want us to all remember this, right? As we're talking about emotional detox, it's important for us to recognize I'm not a person who thinks that, okay, you feel angry, so you have to just suppress that, and you have to be careful with how you flex with them emotions. You're sad, and soon as the sadness touch your heart, you're like, oh, I gotta go and do this, I have to go and do that, and you have to do something to make yourself happy. That is not how we're supposed to operate. It's important for us to feel those emotions when they come, but just know they're not permanent. Write it out. Why are you sad? You don't get up in bliss every day. None of us do. So there are days when you're going to feel angry, days that you're frustrated. Things like that will naturally occur. But what are you learning about yourself that day? What are you learning? It's not about suppressing emotions. I think that's a toxic behavior. And that's one of the things that have come out of the self-love and the self-care. To me, it's such a topical thing sometimes. Self-love and you take your massage and this and that, but then you act rude and aggressive to people that you commune with. Self-love, if it's not given, if your love is not expressed to other human beings, why are you even loving yourself? Womack. When you love yourself, people who come in contact with you should feel that love. And outside of that, something wrong, somebody perpetrating. You may not have space or energy or anything to give to them, but strangers come in contact with you and they leave like, oh gosh, she have an attitude. Toxic positivity. Saran, you said it. Where it's just me, it's just me, it's just me. I've overcome my trauma, I've this and I've that, and you go around the world and you point fingers and you judge and you bonfire on everybody and you figure that you're in bliss. Is hell that? Hell. Hell, like the reason why you were sent here was to find you, know you, understand your purpose, and to also, everything goes back to love, like Keisha said, every single thing. Herbs powerful as no get out, eating right, positive, all of that. But if your relationships and the way in which you approach and handle people is toxic, why are you doing it? It balance is important, and balance means also knowing how to deal with people, feeling your emotions but not giving into them. Like, okay, you can know that, hey, today is not a good day, today is not a day to test, because I'm already riding an emotional wave today. Recognize what may have triggered it, but don't like, okay, let me just compensate, let me put on good music and let me clap, 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 and pretend as if you're not feeling what you're feeling. This illusion story that we do also in the name of self-love and self-care, I don't know how it's helping. I don't know that I can wake up a day sad and not take the time to decipher why I'm sad or even feel that emotion. Now, remember, you wouldn't have access to that emotion if it was meant to be unfelt. You wouldn't have access to it. So you're sad for a reason, entertain what it is. Look at your life. It could, hey, you know how I do here, it could very well be the food you had last night. It probably brought your frequency all the way down. But this negating to feel story is a toxic behavior. And the self love that we glamorize and we post, and there's nothing wrong with what we do. But is it the only way of looking at things? You're going to get your tour all over the place, and you're traveling and this and that. At the end of the day, let us all remember that what we see on social media is what people want you to see. So oftentimes when we go on social media, you see all kind of glamorous things, and the rest, you see, like how you see in the picture at the back, the rest of my house could be in shambles, but you're looking and you say, oh, she has a nice picture, she probably have art all over her house. You could be dead wrong. This is what I wanted to see. That's why I sat here. And so for us to judge ourselves based on what you see on social media, oh, I can't travel. You don't know what they did to get the tickets. You don't know. Be comfortable knowing that you don't have to compromise yourself. Anyhow, yeah, the importance of building tribe, I can go on and on about that because it is so important for us to have support. It's necessary. Support is vital. Now, what I do in the plant power detox, which I really, really love, Keisha has participated almost every time. And that community building, well, 2 weeks, you're on the stuff and you get support of others and that type of thing. And you'll notice that you're able to gel with people. Okay, I can go hiking with such and such, and you can tap into people within your access. Yet again, open up some of the doors that you don't know they're unlocked. Open up the doors. Anyhow, the again, build your tribe, people. What you need, write it down. And you go looking for the persons who have those traits. And you will find them. You will find them. You need to purge. Again, it could be a stranger. Could be a stranger. I remember having a conversation with a complete stranger one time. She came in the shop, don't even remember her name. She was on a cruise ship, and for 30 minutes, it was one of the most powerful exchanges that I have ever had, where somebody bring me to tears in less than 2 minutes. That doesn't, I'm emotional, yes, but you don't normally shake me so quick. I don't know her name. We never exchanged anything. It was almost like a spiritual interaction that we both had. And she was able to share intimate details. I didn't really share any deep secrets or anything like that, but the exchange was so powerful. And I don't know her name. All I remember is her silhouette. So reach out, build your tribe, people. Now, journaling. Now I know Saran King, and also let me big up, not just because she has my name, but big, much respect to Saran King. She's a medical doctor, and how to put this nicely? How to put this nicely without insulting others, that is. She's one of the medical doctors who embraces the fact that we're not just physical bodies. And so, if you're going to call me and ask which medical doctor to go to, I'm going to recommend her because she understands very clearly that is not just the avatar that you address. Emotional issues, spiritual issues also play a part in how our bodies function. And I saw you mention that at the top. We need a break every week from our children. They take plenty energy. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're talking about journaling. She has an awesome journal, people. A beautiful imprint of a black queen on the cover. Um, Follow her page if you don't. Saran King. She has lives every Thursday as well, and it's good information that's helpful. And she's one of the persons who really push journaling. Okay, now journal. The truth is, not all of us have resources to go and sit and talk with a therapist. But are we all going through something? We all are. We all are. And that's the importance of building your tribe because sometimes when you think, hey, look, everything outside of me looks like it's organized, it's proper, it's all laid out, and everybody's dreams getting accomplished and things like that. And I'm here in shambles by myself. Talk. Talk to somebody and you recognize very clearly that it's not just you. But if you have no access, let's say, therapist, and you can't find the right person right now, get the emotion out of your body on paper. So write it. And another thing that we fail to do now, when we think about journaling, a lot of us will think about writing about just what's happening in our lives right now. All right, not really addressing the undercurrent. That's the basis for who we are. Your childhood. What are some of the things that are still, gnawing at you? What are some of the experiences that you have gone through in the past that still affects you? There's this whole, I don't want to get too in detail with it. I'm not a psychologist, but I know the amygdala and the way in which it functions. When you hear you trigger that amygdala as a child, you can go through a situation where everything presents itself the same way, and then out of the blue you have an outburst that's unprecedented. You don't even know why you tripped out like that, because that person was able to do the right thing to trigger that childhood memory. And then we behave that way, and we never ever try to take time to look back. Everything is okay, we're journaling what happened to us today, and it's very, very good, but go back, because that's where a lot of the unhealed hurts are. Though that's where the root of our settling is. You know, when you go through life and you're just taking whatever is there, when you know you really deserve more, you just, okay. Somebody offer themselves, a lot of women are single, and soon as somebody say, they have your attention, even though you know the person low frequency, that's not what you want, that's not what you need, that's not what you deserve, but you settle. Anyhow, journaling, it's important for us to get it out of our bodies. How do we get rid of the triggers that causes one to act out? Now, Rashana, thank you for your question. Um, how do we get rid of the triggers that causes one to act out? Um, I think the way in which the question is structured, I personally don't think that you get rid of your triggers, because there's no, what if you're triggered by people saying, "Psst, hey, sexy?" What if that is your trigger? There's no way you can walk down the road looking good and you don't get that. So it's not so much getting rid of the trigger. It's about recognizing your trigger, knowing what your triggers are. And once you do so, then you're able to say, okay, this is what triggered me the last time. And you stay in control of yourself. That's it. Staying in control. Yes, you might be angry, but staying in control of you. Nobody has a switch to turn you on and off. Nobody. You always give that person permission, regardless of what. You always give permission because you have a choice. Our reaction is always up to us. Yes, you can be provoked. Yes, all kind of circumstances will happen, but we still have a choice. Like Keisha said the day she won box on the woman, but she chose not to. But she could have done it. But we always have a choice. Is there somebody joining on Zoom? Anybody want to add to the conversation? Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry. Peace King, go ahead.
Respect.
Respect. Sorry, I wasn't looking over there.
You hearing me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, respect. Just wanted to just touch on two things actually.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to go back to self a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have the physical self, which is the egoic sphere of our entity. And then you have the true self.
Yes.
Now, in the true self is the same as the true self for everybody.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It's the same essential energy that represents the true self for everyone. And it is in identifying with that part of self rather than the egoic self that give us that composure to deal with the emotions and the different things that come from that lower self, that ego self.
Mm-hmm.
Because all suffering, all boringness, all these things, we experience them through our egoic self. It is our egoic self that suffer from insecurities.
True.
And lack of self-worth and all these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So once we can have an experience that allow us to separate from the lower self. In other words, okay, you're having emotions going through your body.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of acting them out, be still and observe them, which allow you enough time to separate the emotions from your true self.
True that.
Because your true self is always at peace, always steady,
Always.
right there. You have that component part of our being. So it is to go through an exercise like meditation that allow us to can make that separation and can sit still and observe these emotions and these triggers and all these things without acting them out.
True.
You see? One, you will not be able, however, to do that except that you can establish that separation between the two.
True.
You're not going to be able, you know, your emotion run into you and you act out emotion like that's who I am. That's how I am.
Yeah.
I have a bad temper. You understand? So
we justify
when you do
it
like that, you're strictly identifying with your egoic sphere, which is the part that brings you all the misery and bad feeling and all these stuff that we don't want. So to identify the true self is very important. It is good to do nice things, get your body massage and all those things for the lower self. You understand? Because you got to love the lower self same way.
True.
Because the lower self is what houses the spirit, the true self, the energy of the true self. So yes, you got to care for that. But you got to know which part of your being to identify with. Your identity is firmly with your true self, not with your egoic self. Because the egoic self is like the cloud that passes in the sky. You understand?
Yeah.
It will pass too. This is why we have a beginning in time in birth and we have an end in time when we transcend.
Yeah.
You understand? So I just wanted to touch on that in terms of identifying what your true self is. Once you find your true self, then the characteristics and quality of that true self, you can then impose that on your lower self as a discipline life. And then that lower self now will express itself in a divine way. And then, you know, it puts you in the position to rise above the stresses and all these kind of things.
Yeah.
So the real way to get rid of the triggers is really to separate from them within yourself, not necessarily remove them out of your memory, because you cannot move them.
Right.
But you can pretty much control the way you deal with it.
Your responses are always up to you.
To maintain that love, all that love we talk about, to share with people and love people, that not naturally come from your ego itself. Nope. It come from your true self.
Yeah.
You understand? So I just wanted to add that in for one who's listening, because more time when we talk about the self, we focus more on that positive self, so to speak. In other words, when the ego adopts the positive qualities,
yes, as
then we
opposed
identify with that. But the fall after that is, if you strictly identify with that, then when you're not consistent, when you get angry and all these kind of things, you're going to act them out because you see that to be the only self, the essential self of you. Yeah. So there has to be a separation between those two aspects of self. Yeah. In order for you to have the composure and the control to deal with your emotions and all these kind of things. Just wanted to throw that.
Thank you so much, King. Thank you. Truth. That egoic self will run you in problem. Straight. It's sensitive. What they used to say, mash macan. That egoic self. Hey, look, mash macan. Because that's what it is. That's how it really operates. But until you know that higher self or your true self, whatever you call it, and you recognize who she or he is, then you'll fall victim to the other self. I did want to share some of the I did want to share some of the comments coming in. Let me see. Shavor said, you won't be able to get rid of your triggers, but I think it's all in how you deal with it. If you have a painful trigger, but you haven't healed from it, it will continually cause you to act out. You have to control how you react to it. Don't give someone else your power. I hear you, Shagora. I hear you loud and clear. Thank you. But sometimes it's not easy when mostly everything triggers that individual. Yes. Let me see. I know what you mean. Look, I enjoy having these conversations, and let me just mention why I do these things. Yes, of course, the food thing, the herb thing, 24/7, that's me, right? In terms of disseminating information. Again, I do conversations about relationships and that type of thing. So you will see yes, he was one of the King's panel. That's Ras Isern. Yes, he was. He was. Yes, and Saran, you're right. They did drop some powerful gems. It was like nugget nights, man. Um, it's Let me see. Other times it's hard to heal when there isn't a support system for that person. I agree. So I do these conversations because yes, I know the food and the eating and the um, motivating people to stay out of KFC line. As much as I consider those things to be hugely important in, how we go about this life, our emotional stability, the way in which we relate to each other is major, 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 major. It cannot be overemphasized because if you're looking at the top there, right, talking about the victim and that type of thing and not really being in control. If you're not in control, who is in control? Let's just entertain that for a little bit. If you're not in control, if you get a ride of an angry emotion and you tell yourself, okay, I'm just an angry person, I have a bad temper, I can't control myself because this person provoked me. If you're not in control, then who is in control? Somebody always in control, always. So if it's not you, who or what is it? We're always in control, and that's another thing. I think the whole self-love and that type of thing, it has also encouraged a way of being dismissive of others, of being aggressive with others. Now, remember what I said, self survival first, but you don't have to do that at the expense of being rude and disrespectful to others. Sometimes, if that's and that, and if that, and it's not it, and we dismiss others very, very quickly. If they're bringing stress to your life, it's very different than just bonfire on everything. Why we just burning fire? Recognize that if the person doesn't know the higher self, you can't really expect better. You can't. It's crazy of you if you know better to expect better. One of our aunts always say, "He who angers you controls you." Straight up. Imagine that I have the ability to get on here and I can get you angry every time. And I know you're going to stay home and stew. And I get kicks and tickles out of that. Some people get, it makes their day knowing that they're able to ruffle your feathers. So if they know that they have that kind of power and control over you, why would they stop? Ruffle you up every day. Ruffle. Because guess what? You gave them the switch. You gave them the switch so they can turn it on and turn it off if they want. You always have a choice in the matter. Put things in perspective, people. Put things in perspective. Um, Building the tribe, journaling, getting the emotion out of the body. Now, some of the things that I want to touch on really quickly because time is upon us, emotions and the way in which it affects your organ system. So let's look at let's look at a few of the things. So, for those of us who are control your emotions, yes, but there's always, let me see what Tamara is saying, but there's individuals who that don't respect you when you speak to them calm and straight. But when you give them the same energy, okay, so that's enough. Let's touch on that. She's saying sometimes some persons don't respect you when you're respectful and whatever. It's only when you get buck with them they humble themselves. Let's touch on that a little bit. Now, I want us to be mindful of what Ras Isern said, right? He mentioned that there are two parts to you, your egoic self or your lower vibrational self, the place where people can really ruffle you. Your higher self or your true self now is always at peace. Always. You choose where you're going to tap in. So if somebody has the ability to shake you that way and to get you to be low frequency with that. No, don't get me wrong, I'm not speaking no airy fairy language where okay, there's never a need to get whatever. That's not who I am. I do believe there's a time and place for everything. But recognize this, and this is something I want us all to remember. Like when somebody has the ability to stir you up emotionally, recognize that it takes 7 to 9 hours after a good bout with anger. It takes you 7 to 9 hours for your physical structure to be normalized. 7 to 9 hours. So yes, you might have been up in the person's face cursing for probably 5 minutes. 7 to 9 hours to level out for everything you have. I don't know for persons. I know I can recognize the taste of anger in my mouth. Have you ever gotten so angry that you're able to taste it's a metallic type taste that comes on your tongue? If we stay in tune with our bodies, we're able to recognize these things. Physically, giving somebody the power to do that, 7 to 9 hours to normalize. Am I willing to? 7 to 9 hours is a complete day on the job. Am I willing to give you that? Chances are, is it worth it? No. Is there a time and a place where you have to just, again, recognizing the fact that sometimes this eerie language just, sometimes it's not received. So sometimes you might have to relate in a fashion that they can relate to. But are you supposed to give them the power now? Okay, I'm going to talk in a language that they can understand. But you get so involved in it that you're stressing your body out for 7 to 9 hours afterwards. I get pain in my hip when I get angry. Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the organ systems and the emotions. Anger and frustration, it targets the liver and the gallbladder. How many of us know of people suffering for gallstones, back-to-back gallstones? Yes, don't get me wrong, food, lifestyle habits and things like that, you're signing up for them. But stay in tune with yourself and know that, okay, this anger that I'm carrying around for the last week because I can't set boundaries. Look within often, and that's something I think that I've mastered over the time. I don't point fingers. I don't point fingers. That's one thing that we need to get away from this. Oh, it's because of she do this and because of she do. Every single thing that happened to you, you have a choice as to how you respond. We do. Some things can call for you to be buck, to be more confrontational with your language than you're used to. And this You see all wellness queen, head wrap and this and that, the right level of disrespect on the street, you will get what you get on that given day. But you understand, because sometimes some people just there's no relatability to the higher self at all within them. So it's almost like they don't even recognize the language. So sometimes you gotta go low frequency so that they can at least get the message. But again, you go down there, you decide how long you stay. And whether you have control, 2 sentences, that's all you get. You're not getting me riled up. So for the next 7 to 8 hours, I'm still dealing with you and your foolishness. Anyhow, um, fear and fright. And this is important for us to pay attention to, right? Fear and fright. It affects your kidneys and your bladder. Okay? Let's just pay attention to the fact that for the past 2.5 years, fear and fright has been probably the most dominant emotions that we've all been engrossed in. Especially if you feed into you're watching TV every day and you hear, oh, it's 50,000 people died now, and what fear and fright, to the point where we began to look at each other, human beings like yourself, as weapons that could take us out of here. That's what we're coming out of. So, do we need to focus on emotional cleansing? No, yes, more than ever. More than ever. Because it has been such a long, extended period of being involved in something that's truly, truly unnatural. Anyhow, hate and impatience. You ever come across people who just not have no patience if they whatever right off the bat they're cursing? Oh, how. Yeah, your heart and your small intestines. That's the areas that affects. Now, for those who, again, worry and anxiety, that's probably what we went through the last 2 years a lot too. And now, as we move into inflation and everybody going to be pushing the narrative, oh, we can't afford, we can't afford, we can't afford. And we just continually speak it until we speak it into existence for ourselves. But that affects your stomach, your pancreas, and your spleen areas. Okay, sadness and depression. For those of us who were forced to isolate and we live alone, if you don't know yourself, if you have nothing positive around you and you're forced to stay in the house, you're unable to make money, your bills racking up, it's stress. And I know so many people who had to go through that. Remember, now it's not like you can get visitors coming to your house, because remember, we were all each other's weapons against us. And so we were just deeply involved in a situation where, Lord, help us. Help us, help us. Anyhow, sadness and depression, your lungs, your large intestines. How many of us know people now with, just anxious? Yes, I know. I'll do another conversation on anxiety and the different things that we do that trigger us to be not anxious, that we don't pay attention to. It's not just food. It's not just the person just want to worry. Sometimes there are physical things that we can do. All this use of plastic, people, let's wake up. Plastic here, plastic there, plastic everywhere. Look at some of the side effects of plastic on the body. And then for those who on the call, like Nadine, again, going back to the fact that they recommended that women steam over plastic, like, where I go with that? You understand? You steaming your vagina over plastic for real. Anyhow. So We want to, let's focus on deep breathing. This is something you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for it. And luckily for most of us, we have access to clean air. What about overthinkers? The brain and the mind always going nonstop. You have no idea how much that's relatable for me. I'm not an overthinker per se, but I have a very creative mind. How do you again get your rituals together? For you, you may need to create three rituals: morning, midday, and nighttime. That your body now begins to adjust to. Okay, this is what I'm doing when I wake up. This particular routine, I'm gonna have my tea, I'm gonna do my lemon water, I'm gonna do whatever it is that I'm doing, and you create something around that. And the same thing you do something similar during the midday hour and then at night. But having that nightly routine is key, because whereas you're up and going about and sometimes you need to be truly active in the daytime, at night you need that all to stop. You need to put a halt to it. So again, relying on our different rituals, utilizing certain things to calm you down. Eating is another important part of the overactive mind. If you're stimulated by artificial stimulants in your food, it's going to have you racing. So those of us in the Caribbean, all of a sudden we have kind of put aside bush tea and we have embraced the lattes and the cappuccinos and all those kind of things that are not indigenous to who we are. And that stimulation sometimes stays with us. Some people, oh, I can't go to bed without drinking coffee and that type of thing, but you're in flight or fight mode, So it's important for us to wind down. The next thing I want to talk about is, like I said, the deep breathing, calming yourself, physically just taking time to breathe. When you breathe, and Janosha is on the call, she teaches our aerobic classes, and that's one of the things she always talks about. When you inhale to get a deep breath, you should be filling up. Sometimes a lot of us breathe in reverse. Like when we inhale, we do that and your stomach go in at that time. When in fact, when you're breathing air in, you're filling your lungs, so you should be expanding them. And vice versa, when you release it, that's when you should contract inwards. So it's important for us to take time to breathe. People put things in perspective, put life in perspective. All of our troubles that we had in 2019, and if we think back to 2019, it probably was a trying year for most of us. But every single issue that we had, we survived it. So our issues for today, the same very well is true. We can get through it, but sometimes we magnify our troubles when we're going through it. Again, tapping into the higher self, your true self. You're not just, you're not your stress, you're not your job. That's not who you are. That's an experience that you're having. And again, our reaction to it is really up to us. I want to talk about toxic sexual partners. Because oftentimes, like I said, we settle and we just, when that realm is discussed, sometimes you ask people about their relationships, or if they bring it to you and you ask, like, okay, what is it that you like about the person? And they can sometimes, they can't come up with nothing to tell you. It's toxic. And that's another thing too, the embracing of, there's songs now talking about toxic and it's glorified, and like, I don't know who want that, but who want that, more power to you. Because I don't know how that's helpful. But this back and forth that we have, this fight, and the acrimony between you and your sexual partners, that is dangerous. Dangerous, dangerous. So pay attention to who you're giving your all to. That's all. And I'm speaking specifically to women. You're giving your heaven to toxic people, and we're expecting a positive result. It's not them. It's not them. Um, your job and your dissatisfaction on your job. No, it's important for us all to be grateful. You know, you can have a job that somebody home every night and they're on their knees praying, I hope I get a job at wherever. They're praying for what you have. And I see your sweetness. Yeah, they're praying for what you have and you're going through it. And I think too often we have this mindset where everything is just supposed to be with ease and there is supposed to be no conflict on the job and stuff. No, as human beings, most of us can't even get along with ourselves. If you had four you in a room, there would be argument. There would be argument nonstop. You understand? So my point is, it's unfair for us to not expect any conflict at all. Give thanks for what it is, and guess what? Even if it's a toxic situation you have going on your job, make an exit strategy. If that's what it is and it's just foolishness, I know at least one person on the call right there need a new job. Put things in place to get out of there. Yes, Nadine, they make toxic relationships look loving. It's crazy. Sometimes you go on TikTok and you see this hall boat, and it's almost like, oh, if he don't grab you a particular way, or if he do, I don't know what we're doing, but just know, tap into your higher self and know what love looks like from there, and make the other part of you elevate to meet it. I don't know. Being alone isn't that bad if you have to settle for craziness as an alternative. But you can only be alone and be cool being alone if you know and love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you need somebody, and it don't matter how crazy they are, you're willing to settle for it. Anyhow, I do want to encourage us as a community again, getting back to our natural way of relating to each other. Like we said on the call, like last time ago, we're not independent people. We have always been interdependent, and we will always remain that way because that's our nature. We need each other. If it is that you can't find anybody in your circle that's of a particular ilk, be that person for somebody else and watch how the tables turn. Be who you want to see on earth. I get up and I move a particular way because I don't want to interact with, I don't want to interact. I don't want my interactions to be of a particular way. So you have to be what you, and what you have to be what you want to see, what you want to interact with people. Again, like Ras Isern said, the higher self, we're all the same. We're all the same on that level. It's when you bring in all the different competitive things where we start looking at who prettier than who have more this than that. That's when we become crazy with each other. So my recommendation again, pay attention to who you are. Take time and really get to know yourself. Know and understand what makes you tick. What are your triggers? What triggers you? It's always something. Identifying it is key. I know for me, condescending behavior, the wellness queens, Usha, and all that kind of all the niceties, namaste. I can't, yeah. The condescending behavior is something that I know if I operate from my egoic self, you're going to wonder what craziness is that? Because am quickly triggered by it. So when I see that I'm confronted with a situation where, okay, this person not talking to me, but they're talking real condescending to some stranger over there, I'm automatically in tune with that. But I know, okay, this is condescending behavior, so I have to pay attention to how I operate in that space. And it's the same for everybody else. Once you know you're triggered, then you know when it's coming. All right. Um, Again, now there are a few things that we can do. Tapping as well. Tapping is also very helpful for bringing you back to center. Tapping certain areas of your body, doing different things like that. There's a queen. Her name is Goddess Z on Facebook. She has a beautiful, beautiful video going through the tapping motions. I can't remember the name of her business offhand, but her name is Goddess Z. If you follow my page, which I'm sure you do, you'll. She's a friend of mine, and I will post her link in the comment section later on. But she has a really helpful and useful tapping video, which it brings you back to center, and I'll post that and share that. But just recognize that most of us are really and truly doing the best we can. Um, Let me see this comment. So, in closing, I want to give us some takeaways. The importance of meditating. For some persons, meditation sounds like some sort of far-fetched witchery and all whatever. Meditation for me is going within, and so it begs the question: if going within you is witchery, who are you? I'm just saying. That's how I look at it. It's important for us to really take time and just be with yourself. It's not about, okay, I'm going to go on this meditation journey and, it's glorified. And so you see, oh, I saw this and I saw that. It doesn't have to be your experience, but taking time to go within you is important for us to do. It's important for us to take the time. Different things that you can do to remove stress, emotional stress from the body. Simple stretching, basic moves. You don't have to be able to twist like a pretzel to get benefit. Simple, deliberate movements for releasing that energy from your body. And again, people don't think that there's not a correlation between how your physical structure functions if you have emotional issues. I know of a story where I think I mentioned it on some live in the past, where a woman had a basketball-sized tumor, and yes, she's changed her diet and she adjusted certain things, but it was emotional issues from her childhood that caused that tumor to shrink. So it's important for us to really, really pay attention to the issues that we have buried. Um, Now, instead of the drinking on the corner every Friday, you could go home if you like what's it called? Afro beats. Put on some Afro beats. If you like reggae music, put on some reggae music. Get into comfortable clothes. Tell yourself, you know what, I'm turning my volume all the way up. And I'm gonna dance and I'm gonna unwind and I'm gonna release some of this stress. Simple. Simple. You don't have to pay anybody, but it's an important way of de-stressing. Another thing that we can do, call a friend. Call a friend up, some people just every time you talk to them you get a good laugh. We need laughter. We need that energy. This structure, you go to work, you come home, you cook, you hustle. Then you might have a few minutes left at the end of the day, TikTok with some crazy toxic thing, and then you're sleeping. Yeah, make room for laughter. Take your time and just stretch your body out again. Now you go on social media, the things that women can do. Some people like, okay, I'm not gonna do yoga because I can never flex like that. There's no competition. No competition. Just stretch your body out, allowing the stress to release from your body. Anyhow, I want to thank you so much for joining me. I hope the conversation was enjoyed. um, I do want to again mention that it's important for us to take care of ourselves. Too often we relegate how we feel and how we move in this lifetime to somebody else. Too often. Yes, we all have different gifts, we all have different strengths. Some may be able to tell you, okay, this is how you move your body, this is what you eat, this is what you, whatever. But at the end of the day, you have a divine assignment to take care of your being. And remember, your being is not just a physical being, the emotional and the spiritual part. Huge, huge. Stay in touch with people who you know are on the frequency that you want to be. Um, Let me see what else is there. Very educational. Thank you, Queen. Thank you, Queen. I'm glad you benefited. So again, yeah, love yourself through it all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi, Janice. How are you? And you're going to be doing the detox, so you already know we're going deeper and deeper. And thank you, Sylvia. I really appreciate all your support on Facebook. Thank you, thank you. I can't wait to meet you in person. Um, I do want to remind us that, again, at the end of the day, as much as we are great at this and we're great at that, we need love. We need love. And when I say that, it's not necessarily that we need others to love us, which is vital, but we need to love ourselves, because when we love ourselves, we move different. We're recognizing that, nobody should really have the power to just shake you up, right? To get you to act how you don't want to act. Somebody else has that power. Nope. Anyhow, I want to thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Paul, Lioness, peace, 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 and blessings to you. Thank you all for commenting and participating in the conversation. I think you should do an emotional detox coaching. Thank you, Shavora. And the interesting thing is, for this detox coming up, it's the smallest group. So we're going to dive deep and we're going to have a good little session. Thank you so much, Shavor. Peace and blessings to you. Please give my love to Justin. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful session, Queen. Thank you, Tequila. Again, it's important for us to love ourselves. When we love ourselves, we recognize very clearly that we are in control of us, your higher and your lower self. Feed what you want to magnify. If you want the lower self, you can go and play the ego game with people. Trust me, there's an abundance of people lining up to test you on that level. But keep close to your breast the persons who are going to call for you to elevate yourself, because it's important for us as we move through all the different trials and the temptations that are coming our way as a people, for us to be, vibrating as high as possible. Eat like you love yourself, people. Peace and blessings, everybody. For those who are joining on the call, who will be starting Plant Power Detox tomorrow, peace and blessings to you. I will post in the group shortly, but I'm certainly looking forward to an absolutely amazing session this time around. The aerobic teachers are ready. They just need your bodies at the stadium to get cracking. And we're going to have a truly enjoyable session this time around. 14 days of eating plants, 14 days of detoxing your emotional bodies as well, 14 days of giving gratitude for everything that we have. Peace and blessings, everybody. I'll see you next week, Sunday. I'm going to try to do the smash up with the kings and the queens next week. I know y'all want it. I know, again, I just want to big up the persons who participated in that. Ras Ison, Wind, Fire, all of the guys who participated in the first round, all of the queens, Nadia, Janosha. I want to thank Shanique. I want to thank Ashanti as well. I do hope that you all took the initiative to go and follow their pages and support. All right. Peace and blessings, everybody. Have a powerful, powerful week. Peace. I'll see you next Sunday. Good night.